7, say action.
Now, action.
Hello, I'm Paul McGann, and you're watching the Omega Files.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Omega Files. I know it's been a long time, but it's time to come back and talk about the animation of the Macra Terror, a lost episode it's been lost for too long. All I can say is this: there's a colony out there that's got a case of crabs that would even make a sailor blush with shame. All right, I want to go around, call your name, go ahead and tell us what you thought of this new animation for the Macra Terror. All right, we're going to start at the top this time. Let's start with Doctor Who Commentator. Going ahead.
Certainly the animation best they've done so far, and I think, judging by certain things on the extras, I think, and comments that have been made, I think they're going to be doing a lot of animations going forward, and I certainly look forward to that. One thing I didn't like about the animation so much was actually in the opening titles, but they decided to put an animated version of Patrick Troughton's head in there, and I thought, come on, man, I just want to see a reconstruction of what's not there. I don't really want you to put your staple in this, so much to say. As for the story itself, certainly an interesting story. I mean, technically we've had these things, well, thinking from the time, I suppose this was a relatively new concept, or maybe common science fiction, I don't know. Definitely the idea of an entire civilization being controlled in this way. There is a lot of me that thinking, crabs, bit weird. I mean, when I went to the BFI, I saw a whole article about it, and originally the Macra was supposed to be insects, incidentally, which is actually in the original script. You can hear they do actually refer to them as insects initially, and personally I would have preferred that, partly because I get the idea no one was meant to know the existence of the Macra, and or they come out at night, and all I keep thinking is, surely someone would have heard the stomping of the legs there, but an insect, I think even a giant one could have probably scuffled around a bit more quickly. And interestingly, you had the whole thing with Control. I don't know if anyone's actually seen the black and white BBC television play of 1984, but honestly, it kind of reminded me a bit of Big Brother from 1984. In that way, I don't know if that's what they were going for, but overall, yeah, nice story, pretty something we've now pretty much seen 100 times before, but it's okay for what it is. Certainly enjoyed it.
Yep, that was kind of Big Brother-ish. That's one thing I thought of. This is your control. No, yeah, it's the controller guy. Yep, I'm not wearing any pants. Okay, William, go ahead.
Hey now, everybody. I'm shocked. I was totally shocked when it was announced that this was coming on DVD, of course, being animated, and I was looking forward to it. I mean, I have read the book on it and I anticipated it. I already knew what the plot is, and of course, everybody here has seen the little scenes that was found, I think, in Australia like that, which probably appear like maybe 2 or 3 seconds, a certain scene here and there. So you can anticipate how the Macra supposedly looked like, even though, as we know, the special effects back then wasn't that great as we have now. But as a story, it's a great story. The only thing that, like, I have talked to Phil about this before, that even though it is implied that the Macra has taken over the colony like that, it's really not explain how it was done and how long they've been doing it. Because again, when I was talking to Phil, in this whole story, we have not seen any children at all. Now we know we're not going to see the children because they're not going to be working as in the mines and all that. But I thought maybe one of a parent will take the kid to school like that to show that it's been going on for a generation like that, this controlled by the Macra. But it's just, we never. So that was one of the questions that always kept bugging me, like how long control was taking place and how was it achieved like that? Because even though we know that we see the Macra controlling down below the machines and all that, and of course using their voice to pretend to be the controller like that, when you only see a photo of him on the screen, but it still left a few things unanswered. So in a funny way, because of the technology we have now, the special effects, I'm shocked that they only appeared in maybe a 10-second clip in the David Tennant's run in the story, and they have not appeared at all in anything. And I'm also shocked that Big Finish haven't used them at all in any story. But as a lost episode that has finally been animated, I give it a 2 thumbs up, and it's a great story. It stands out. So I get to other question I'm going to ask in a little while.
Alrighty. Yeah, the de-evolved Macra, yeah, they appeared in Gridlock. They were running around there eating everything that came down out of the traffic jam. And I was like, okay, I know I've heard this name before somewhere. And then I remembered, okay, I had an old program guide. And I'm like, all right, that's where I've seen this. The Macra, okay. And I was like, but, of course, the episode having been lost, it was never, aired or anything like that until they came out with like a telesnap version many years later. All right, AJ.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. The one thing I really didn't enjoy, though, it was in color, not in black and white, because I think to give the real terror of the Macra, you need to see them in black and white, with their eyes glowing out of the darkness, coming from darkness to shadow and whatnot. I did like the very beginning, though, with the 3D rendering of the TARDIS above the planet, sitting there and rotating very slowly. That was well done. Beautiful story overall. I loved all the animation on the characters and how they moved and talked and whatnot. It was well done. And the Macra themselves, pretending to be like, the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, and all the giant crab behind the curtain. So I thought that was quite well done too, for the time period for the story and how they would have done it. I would love to have seen the original. So sadly, we can't.
Yeah, sadly, it's no longer in existence. It would have been nice, to see it, fully restored, an episode that had been recovered. But at least it's nice to know, there's an effort being made to say, look, we've got the audios for these things. Why not go ahead and, bring it back in a way we can do? And, it just, the animation, I got to agree with you first, you guys. It was amazing. It was far better than the previous ones. All right. Philip, go on ahead.
I enjoyed watching it, both in black and white and color. I reckon the color version serves it well because it gives a bit more detail and vibrancy, and it makes you want to watch it a bit more than it is in black and white. The characters, I thought that stand out and are very good realized in the cartoon is Ola and Medoc. I thought their characters stood out in the story quite a bit because they were very well drawn and realized. The Macra, very poor, I must admit. I mean, it's hard to see how you would make them into an audio play because they're not saying much, they're just crawling around. So it's not easy for that. The story itself is simple, straightforward. The artistic license of the drawings, very well done and rendered, very well rendered. And but there is errors. I mean, they missed out a little bit of a chunk where the Doctor's being put into the rough and tumble machine to, smarten himself up, but he doesn't like it, so he wants to put himself in the back the way he was. And then there's also errors with how Polly is dressed. At one point, when she's smarted up, they put her in this costume that's kind of nice and sparkly. Yeah, in the cartoon, she's in the same costume that she's been in throughout the whole story. So there's a couple of errors there, and the story has a bit of a clunky connection to it. There are some bits that flow well, then it kind of jars off and goes and then carries on. And so that tells me that you can see where the missing bits are, but they didn't complete properly. But overall, it's very good. I enjoyed it.
Oh, BKV. All right. Let's run over to Texas Tim. What do you think of it?
I thought this is Patrick that is subversive best. Walks through this story like an anarchist, just messing with everybody as far as what's going, because he feels right away that there's something wrong here. He gets it that there's going on with the way that the people are acting, the way that they've been brainwashed at night while they sleep, and that they're controlled by somebody. So that's the best thing about this story, to be fair. That and the business with Ben, who falls into the spell of it and turns against him, which is pretty cool. And it comes into that wholeness of Ben not thinking he was the back in power and stuff, like doesn't trust him or something. But it's a good four parts. I think as far as the animation goes, they did a really good job. I've only seen the version. I think it looks really, really spectacular. I can't put my finger on what it is, but it looks very well done. The color, like how they chose to made it. I agree with that. I don't think they should have cut a scene. I think that was kind of one of the things you don't do, restoring an old episode or an old story. I mean, I think everybody wants it, whether it was a hokey scene or not. I mean, they should have left it in. So, but otherwise, overall, this is a very good release.
Alrighty. Okay, let's move over to Elijah.
This animation, compared to the ones we had before, definitely is at the top of the list. When they brought back the animation, starting with Power of the Daleks with kind of a slightly new team, they definitely were still trying to get their bearings on how they were going to approach this. And definitely with the Macra Terror, they had this planned in May of last year. So they definitely had a lot more time to get things planned out and definitely flush this out to the best of their ability. The rough and tumble scene, I know that they talked about it wasn't in the budget because of, that'd be a whole nother scene to replicate. You'd have to draw it out, that just more time. Definitely the colorization in this was amazing. With Power of the Daleks, that was done out of the studio. BBC America, for some reason, sent it to Canada to get done. And then with Polly wearing a different outfit, she also, to save money because they didn't have the rough and tumble scene, she has the short hair at the beginning, which I think she isn't supposed to have. And then, interesting fun fact, Macra Terror Episode 3 is the first time they had the new Troughton title sequence. Let's stay right down. They used a new animation team this time called Sun and Moon Animation. I'm not sure who they used for Shada and Power of the Daleks, but they still had some of the same people like Rob Ritchie and Martin Garrity. And then what else did I have? Oh, and then also I thought it was kind of cool to see Fraser Hines do the Highland Fling. That was pretty cool to see animated. But overall, really impressed with this.
This is the part where we throw ourselves out the door. Okay. Okay, B-Fed.
To sort of touch on the sort of stuff that the guys have said, there's only two words that I can associate with this, is more please. You can see that there has been an evolution with the animation as time has gone on, to be honest with you. As technology has progressed, the animation has come along with it to the point where you can get as much of an approximation as you can get with sort of facial movements as well with Troughton, so you can get that sort of mannerism that does translate through as watching it. I think the opening scene where the TARDIS appears when it's floating in space is amazingly atmospheric. They've taken what, for the 2 minutes worth of original footage that we actually do have, what looked like a bit of a hokey sort of BBC 60s monster, and made it something in animation form that actually looks atmospheric and suspenseful. So I think that's really good. There's really nice little touches as well. I noticed the animation. That when you've got the bit where he's locked up in the prison cell, and you can see the sort of scribblings that he was right. There is such a thing as Macra. So they've put like little in animation gags as well, which you do notice with it as well. The music is great. I love the fact that they gave thanks to Strong for all his audio archives. To be honest with you, because without that, none of this would have been possible. So I like that he was given a sort of posthumous credit on this as well, because I think it is very, very much deserved. That's it. I think if you have an infinite amount of time and an infinite amount of budget, you can have every scene in there. I think speaking to some of the original cast, they said that the costumes were actually orange. And the reason that they've changed it as well for the means of the animation is because of how us as a viewing public perceive things. If they had seen everyone dressed in orange, they would have misassociated it with sort of American prison uniforms. So you have to take a certain amount of creative license when you are making this sort of thing. So the idea with Polly with her short hair that she would have had as a result of the rough and tumble machine. Annika Wills wasn't overly chuffed with it, but it's sort of, do you lose anything from the story through not having it? You don't. So I think you have to focus on the core story. and it does work, and it's just amazingly effective. I do like it. You're still able to get from it. Michael Craze's sort of, I'm betraying my friends, but I don't want to. You can actually get emotion from that. And if they can do that through animation, then, fingers crossed, this will be the start of something more. I mean, we've seen it now sort of, we had this, we had Power of the Daleks, and then we had, Sharda, the reconstruction. We've now got this. And the thing is, I think they'll always judge the success of what the current one is as to how much it will go towards the next one. And like Elijah said, they've taken a lot of the core guys, put them with Sun and Moon Studios, who seem very much on point in what they're doing, and they've delivered this in a year. Even like we say, they ran a day over their deadline for this to make sure they got it finished. So it still went right up until the wire. So, I take my hats off to them. They've done a sterling job, and it is. I like the colour version. It does lend something to it. The detail is just tremendous. Like Phil, I went to the BFI screening. Like Doctor Who commentator went to the BFI screening. Now speaking to Charles Norton, that because there is that absence of information there, an actual record for it, they would contact surviving members of the cast and say, look, if they didn't have stills of them, could you send us your own pictures so we can get an approximation of what you look like then, to try and make the animation, as much as the limitations would allow, as close an approximation as it would be. He said that he was even phoning up like an octogenarian actor in his 80s who lived in America just to ask him what his eye colour was, so that they could have a faithful recreation to the screen. So, they're doing the Lord's work as far as Doctor Who fans are concerned. So, just keep doing it and buy it, people.
Yep, that's what we got to keep telling people. Get out there and buy this stuff. If you really want more of these, you got to support it, because the more money it makes, the more likely you're going to get another one. And as I read in an interview, like I think it was earlier this week, that I think it was one of the animators said that, they've been discussing a lot of other ideas for doing future animations. So chances are, I think he pretty much said, if there's a title out there that's missing that you've probably been asking about, they've discussed it. So it's not, a closed subject. It's still a very much open case, as far as they're concerned. This could keep going on, and I'd love to see, all the missing episodes brought back, even in this format, because that's a very big part of that particular era that's still missing. And it's this way you can get it out there so people can say, look, okay, this is what they were doing back then, But of course they had to embellish a little bit, Like, all right, I'm going to open up the floor because this is one of the scenes I thought was very amusing. But then one of you guys described it. I got to laugh. Was when there's the scene where I think it's Ben and Polly are in that hangar, and then the Macra runs up and grabs her, and it's got her lifted up in the air, and it's carried. They didn't do that back then. I think it was the way it was described was basically if a Macra was coming to get them, they literally just ran at it and threw themselves at it or something like that. So, okay, so if you got any experiences you want to share that about what go on ahead. The mics are open. So who wants it first?
Well, very much like you said, Annika Wills said that when they were filming it originally, because it was such a sort of basically large thing, it wasn't a case of it was motile. She literally just had to throw herself into it and flail around for it to look realistic. At least this way, you do have an idea that there's sort of, you get a great sense of scale as well, that it's grabbing her by the leg. I think in the original teleslaps that, hopefully the people who are watching this will have seen as well, Control, you saw him sort of being, grabbed and everything like that. Whereas this one, you get a sort of a camera falling to the floor. So you get that much more atmosphere to it as well. So I think that's good. You do get a sort of 1984 vibe, but also that's also a product of the time. If you think about something like The Prisoner, you would have Fenella Fielding saying, a happy village is a working village and everything like that. It's this strange dichotomy of like a holiday camp with an enforced labour. So you have the shifts and the music, and God, it sticks in your head, that music. It's awful.
Okay, Elijah, you had your hand up first. Go ahead.
I think the other title that they were discussing animating, it was between this one and the Highlanders. These are the two that they were discussing. I know that they also talked about, yes, Marco Polo would be great animated, but there's just a lot of background characters, and the more characters, the more hours put in drawing. And if you actually notice, they actually use Lala Ward's animated head for one of the extras in there as well. I can't remember what scene it was, but somebody pointed out on Twitter, so I thought that was pretty funny. Use what you got.
Okay, DWC.
Yeah, someone was talking about how there was a lot of creative liberties taken, like having the camera fall to the floor. This is, however, one thing I have with the animated shows, and it's, I mean, yeah, I know they're trying to make it exciting and everything, and this is going to be very different for different people, but I sometimes do take a bit of issue when they animate the scenes to look like things, frankly, they wouldn't have actually looked like at the time. But, I mean, that is just me. It is because I want to experience more or less as close as we can what it was at the time. And because they are being, I acknowledge, better now, trying to make things more exciting, you don't really get so much that kind of feel. I mean, it's particularly bad with the episodes where there is just two animated episodes interlaced with the rest of the live action stuff, because you've got this live action quality of the quality it was at the time, and suddenly you've got this animated show where you've got a camera angle from up high or something zooming in. I think they wouldn't have done that. And it's one of those things that makes me happy that that university project, the Mission to the Unknown, is going to be, or has been, done pretty much in the same style, supposedly in the same style as it would have been at the time. But yeah, that is really my only beef with the animated shows like this, and same with this one. But I get what they're doing. It's just a bit of a bone contention.
Okay, AJ.
Yeah, I got a question. The Macra, can they actually talk, or are they using like psychic projection to put their thoughts into people's heads?
That's a very hard question to answer without really knowing.
I always assumed it was.
I thought the machine was doing the talking.
That's what I was about to say. I thought it was just a machine.
I don't know. When they get to the control room, there's a sort of big giant one that looks like the daddy of the Macra. I think but if you watch the colour version, he's actually like a different colour. Now, whether it hits him in some way that is, able to emote and everything like that, and the rest, like, as Brian said in Gridlock, are like devolved ones. I presume that's the only way that there is some sort of means by which that one communicates and the rest are like drones. That's the only way that I can do it, to be honest.
That makes you, but you know what, Beef? That makes you question why they still got the controller there. They got no use for him. Why is he still their captive? Why don't they just either let him go, or
The figurehead. The people are hearing the Macra.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying about tying with the voice. When you're hearing the voice, is it him actually saying that, or is it the daddy Macra emanating the voice because it can? And then it makes you think, why do you have the control in the first place if you're not using him?
I think it's the daddy Macra, because the bit where you actually see him on screen, there's still the voice going over the top of it. So I do think, there's somehow the big one, for reasons that I can't, or isn't explained, but then again, things in Doctor Who never are fully explained.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I got that song going through my head from a particularly bad era in rap. The daddy Macra will make you jump. Okay, okay, Philip, did you get your point out? You had your hand up.
No, let me. Okay, I was gonna go back to what Will was saying about how long the Macra has been there and how they got control of the thing. I reckon that the Macra are the indigenous species of that planet that the people are on, and when the people built their settlement, the Macra kind of, I don't know. Particularly the daddy Macra, he probably coerced the original controller, and then from that point, built upon their control over the rest of the community.
Okay, Texas Tim.
Well, if that's true, Philip, then that means the Doctor's the bad guy, because he takes the side of the colonists and destroys them, doesn't he? So, I mean, I don't know. It's up in the air. I mean, the Doctor is supposed to, like I said, he's a bit of an anarchist in this story. He walks in and sees what's wrong, and immediately tries to set things right as far as the people are concerned, which is what he usually does. No, but to DWC's point, you're never going to have a perfect recreation of an episode that's missing. I think they do the best they can, and they do have to improvise and make some changes. Again, like I said, I don't think they should have cut that scene. I just said it was too expensive, maybe. But on the other hand, they're gonna have to make choices and decide what they can or can't keep and whatnot. And I think that's just something they have to do. And I think this is actually better than not having anything but the narrated audio, because this is actually a very visual story. And it dawned on me when I was watching it again today that, you know, there's no dialogue in a lot of scenes. It's just music and atmospheric, you know, things that you're looking at, not that you're listening to. Now, on the audio version, you'll have somebody narrating, but this is a very visual episode, and I think it's one that's more suited to actually being seen versus a story where you can listen to it and hear the original dialogue and hear the narrator, and it's all very well. And I mean, it works as an audiobook. It works very well. Whereas this is more of a visual story, and I think it's more suited. I can see that's probably the reason they chose this one in a lot of ways.
They did say that was one of the problems with the making of it, to be honest with you. Certainly the opening section, because there's that section where there is no sound. All there is sort of like they said with the Graham Strong's audio recordings, that basically it's just a lot of shuffling and sort of footsteps and rustling. So it's sort of like, what do you do? So, and I think what they did there with sort of having the bit with the TARDIS floating in space and what they saw with the scanner and everything like that, they filled in something and made something of nothing. So I've got to take my hat off to them in that respect.
Okay, William.
You know, they could have the studio could have saved money, but instead of animating the opening credits, they could have just used the live scene. Because, like Elijah said, this is the first time you see the Troughton facing the third episode like that. They could have used it in all 4 parts, the live one, instead of having it animated. And, now, of course, we have to find out probably by the end of the year to see how much sale figures is done, because it's not out in DVD all over the world at the same time, because we're getting it at different times. Yeah, that's how. Oh man, it looks awful.
Yeah, that's what the Macra originally looked like. By the way, for you folks who are curious, go look it up. That's their original appearance. So I have to agree with them on the animation this time. You know, the animation just made them look so much creepier. You know, with the legs scuttling like scorpions. Okay. I would say, like
I said, we have to find out the sales figures, how much is done in DVD sales for another animated episode could be done. Because of course we're already hearing nonsense like Elijah was saying about Marco Polo and all that, and of course over here in the States we already have an advanced DVD order for the Wheel in Space. I like to know when that was animated, because we haven't heard nothing about it. So we wait to find out. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, the Wheel in Space thing, like I said, I've never heard anything confirming it was actually done, so I don't know. Is that one that just popped up on Amazon out of nowhere and everyone started getting on it?
Yeah, it came out. It came out the same time to pre-order Macra. Those are the two that came out at the same time. Like what?
Okay,
there's a feature on the DVD featuring a clip of an animated adaptation of the Wheel in Space.
Okay, I hope it's true. I hope it's not.
That's the only thing. That's the only thing that confuses me with the Wheel in Space debacle. They put that little 10-minute clip on the DVD or Blu-ray, whichever you want to call it, and it looks good enough to complete it. So why didn't
It baffles me because the BBC didn't pay for it. The BFI paid for it to be done. Yeah. It baffles me.
Okay.
So go on.
Let's say Adrian's had his hand up for a bit now. So
go on, Adrian.
About Doctor Who commentators thing, for the scenes that were wrong or missing or how something turned out a bit different, you do get DVDs of movies 20 or plus years old, where they upscale them and they make them better looking, higher resolution, and they update the special effects as well. So you do get that a lot as well. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I've got a 25th anniversary of the 5 Doctors where they have 2 versions. You got the normal version, then you got the version with the better special effects. Yeah. So sometimes they do that to give a more modern look to something that could look cheap and tacky if they just upscaled the effects for it.
You know what? Why should we be afraid of tackiness in a movie or a TV show? That's part of its charm, and that's why I don't think that sometimes upscaling or upgrading things is a good thing, because it makes it lose its own kind of charm, if you know what I mean.
Well, in some cases, I think it just adds to the experience. They did that not too long ago with the original series Star Trek episodes. But the only thing they modified, though, were the space sequences. They didn't add anything onto the sets or anything like that. They did clean it up quite a bit, but the only thing they really changed was the CGI on the space sequences, like space battles and all that. Like they fixed the Enterprise incident, so now that you actually have a Romulan bird of prey there with the other ships, whereas you didn't have it in the original series because the Romulan bird of prey model got broken. So, okay, Texas Tim's had his hand up for a while now, so go on ahead.
Well, what you were just commenting on is it's my understanding that when they upgrade the picture quality, they have to upgrade the special effects, because if they leave the old effects on, it won't look right. They actually have to correct how they look. But what I was going to say was that since they started animating these episodes back in 2006, and they tried different companies, and so that's why you have a bit of inconsistency on different stories that have like one or two animated. I wonder if they shouldn't just, since it's very costly, if they shouldn't just offer them out to like colleges or something that are people that are studying, because it's a lot of man hours, right? And if, for example, if you're Elijah and you're in college, you'd love the chance to work on some animation, no matter how tedious it is. But I mean, it would be kind of like a voluntary thing. I mean, it's part of your course, and that way you could get some more of these things done in a cheaper manner. I mean, I would think. Plus, might be inconsistent. I mean, one story might look different from group to group, but I mean, it seems like a way to knock out some of the man hours, where it wouldn't be such a costly thing, because it's basically like a student doing his college experiment or college, what do you call it, internship. So that would be something they should think about.
Which is kind of cool, because some university actually like recreated Mission to the Unknown, like pretty much as accurate as possible as they could, for free, basically.
Yeah, it's getting high praises all around from what I've been reading on Twitter. Even Peter Purves is really, really impressed with the production and all that. It's plus, a lot of other people have been tweeting about it like mad, that it's so very well done. All right, but one quick note about the reason why you have to update sometime. How many here bought the Battlestar Galactica when they put it out the first time? They remastered it. Anyone put your hands up?
I got it.
No, all right. What happened was, one sequence where they had to do it was, if you remember an episode called Fire on the Galactica, you got Apollo and Starbuck out there in spacesuits, right? They're floating around putting the charges out. The problem was, when they put out the remastered edition, you can see the frickin' wires as plain as
okay.
They're holding them up off the hole. So in some cases, yeah, it does take away the tackiness, but at the same time, you're just helping out, because back then, in the old days, we didn't have TVs that had enough definition that you would notice that right off the bat. So in some way, they're kind of improving it, or trying to. Okay, Beef, go on ahead.
And in little part following on from that point, for any of you who've just been looking at the season 18 box set in the Leisure Hive, they've digitally taken off the string that you can see pulling K9 along.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay, that's true.
Like, pull them along the beach. Wait a minute. This is the thing. It's sort of, as obviously we get further away from when these were originally broadcast as well, technology is also evolving. So they're bound by the limitations of what they can do now. What I think with this sort of Sun and Moon Studios, who basically they seem to be going through, this is going to be the way it's going to go. Like Elijah said, it was the BFI, and it's included as an extra on the second disc of the set, which is the 10 minutes of the Wheel in Space, and I must say it looks fantastic.
It does, doesn't it? It really is good.
That's it. When that 10 minutes ended, it's like you're like,
I want more. You want more.
You wanted to carry on, because 10 minutes in, you're already involved with the story.
You see, in that one, they only have the two characters to animate.
Yeah, that's it. Well, that's it. You've got two characters and the robot. You're drawn into it immediately, and by the time that 10 minutes runs out, you want to know what happens next. So that just shows you how the animation works. And I think that one of the thanks and one of the producer credits on that as well is given to Dick Fiddy of the BFI, I think, because he's a big guy who drives it, and it was them that paid to have that 10 minutes made. Now, I did ask and said, will you be finishing it? And I was told no.
No.
I offered to have a whip round in the bar, and I said, "I'll give you cash now." It wasn't going to work.
No, it's something they could come back to later. I mean,
that's it. I think this is the thing. Like Elijah said, they have to think about certainly what they've got. And the Graham Strong audio recordings as well. You know, I've got to give kudos to Mark Ayres because he's cleaned this up and everything like that. And you sort of, although the sound is not like, it's like 5.1 amazingly high definition, but you're still listening to it and, you know, watching it, and it doesn't detract from it at all. It still adds to it. You've still got a great thing. So they've done amazing sound work with this. And I think, you know, the next ones that hopefully they're going to do, like Elijah said, is either the
I know what he's going to say. I know exactly what he's going to say now.
Or the Smugglers could be the next one. No, I'm not going to say anything rude.
No, Elijah, I'm talking about. I know what Elijah's going to say.
But I mean, there's nothing to say that perhaps the more complicated ones might happen later on. Like, perhaps even the Celestial Toymaker might happen later on because you think there's a large amount of that that's like done in Void. So that could be an easy one to do. But ones like Marco Polo, maybe that is not out of the realms of possibility, but further along the line as the technology catches up with what we want to do. Because they only do, I think, maybe like 1 or 2 frames of animation to this. And a lot of this is done in traditional animation style, like hand drawings. And then the rest of it is sort of extrapolated by computer. So it's really cleverly done, but also amazingly labor intensive. So as time goes on and the more sort of stuff they get behind them, this is going to be, this is the start of the wheel rolling. All we need to do is just keep it running.
Well, exactly, folks. Social media is out there. Use it. Voice your opinion. Say, I want more of this. Otherwise, I don't want to see pictures of you eating week-old, fish fingers and custard.
They did say if they tried to do Dalek Master Plan, it would probably kill them because there's that much work to do.
They did waste a lot of time, though. Like I said, this started in 2006, and they let the DVD range run out, and then they decided, well, what are we going to do now? Because whereas if they had been consistent and kept this thing going, they never would have stopped, and we'd be a lot farther along by now, I think. It's just hard to say. I mean, but it is very expensive, and we don't know how well these things sell anyway, if they make enough money back to where people are going to, they're going to continue.
Okay, Elijah, you were going to say something. Go on ahead.
So 2 points to make. Definitely Mark Ayres did a great job with the audio remastering, but one scene just seemed totally out of place. It's the opening scene when they're outside the colony. It just sounds so open and like it doesn't match the animation. Just that opening scene for some reason just didn't match. And then also another point, Rob Ritchie said they got a new software program for like rigging the characters, which I guess helped a lot. So yeah, definitely technology has been moving along.
Elijah, I think that scene you're referring to, I think they're inside a cave itself, and that's where you get an echoey sound to it. Whereas what they draw is they're outside rather than inside. They should have been inside a cave at that point.
Yeah.
I think they could have made Ben Jackson look better in those tight little pants.
Oh.
Well, if you want to be really accurate as well, I think Jamie should have been in tight little shorts as well, but they left that out as well for other reasons.
Yeah, and the bit where he comes out the TARDIS with the stick, that's not exactly accurate as well, because he picks up that stick as he comes out of the TARDIS, as he's out of the TARDIS, not within the TARDIS. So that's kind of wrong as well. But that's just quibbles.
Yeah, just little things here and there, continuity. Yeah. Oh, well, either way, like I said, I'm just glad that this got made, because, I don't do well with telesnaps. I've really tried, and I don't know, it just doesn't have that same, magic as seeing it in motion. And,
Ooh.
So,
it's the slipcover. I'm being lazy.
I had this steel book. Oh, is it upside down? Yeah, there you go. Steel book. Oh, lovely jubbly. Well,
you need to remember my address to send it to me.
You've got one more than the Who shop that they're stolen.
Okay, I admit that. What else?
Was it you?
This is the most watched DVD I've watched out of all the animated ones that I've had. I've watched it nearly 8 times already. I don't know why. I love the story very much.
Yeah, and I can't say it enough. The animation is just so much better than what we've gotten before. They just really put their hearts into this one.
Yes, they did. But you get people still complaining, saying this one's not as good as, like, say, Power of the Dance or something. I can't see the difference of degradation. I think this one's a lot more better than what we've had before.
That's the vibe I got when I sit and watch it. It looks so much better. It flows better. Plus, like I said, the way they animated the Macra, they're just, so creepy as hell. And it's like, for that animation to do that, that's just takes some talent. It really, really does. It shows they really put their passion into this whole project. The fact they went to such detail. Well, folks, that's about all we got for tonight. So,
ratings.
Well, are we going to rate it? Do we?
Yeah,
really?
why not? Yeah, why not? Go on.
Okay, because I don't know. I think we're going to get a lot of the same rating around, so that's why I was going to skip past it. But okay, we'll rate it. I'll make you happy. Okay, DWC, how out of 10? What would you rate this animation of the Macra?
7.
7.
A 7.
Okay, William, go ahead.
I give it a 9 out of 10, and hopefully they announce another animated DVD be released soon.
Okay, AJ?
9.5 out of 10. I would have preferred full black and white, but still, it was a good animation. It was well done.
Yeah, AJ, you got an option to watch it in black and white, though.
It's called a remote. It's called a remote. You take it off the color.
Okay, Philip.
I'm going to give this a 9 purely because some of the bits are not as they should be from the original, and it would have been better if it was totally like the original TV screening.
Okay, Texas Tim.
Yeah, I'll give it a 9.5 for the same reason. I don't think they should cut anything if they're going to do this, but I mean, otherwise it's a gift. It's a great thing to have because up until now you can only listen to an audio or watch crappy telesnaps, and this is much better.
Okay, Elijah.
I'll give it a 9.5. Definitely the best one we've had so far. Yes, there are little things that they had to cut because of budget reasons, but it's still a great thing to have. So keep them coming.
Okay, Beef. Hey, I gotta unmute yourself, Beef.
Unmute.
I will give it a Patrick Troughton 11 out of 10. Yeah, I will take the points that all the guys have made. Yeah, the limitations aren't by a result of the production team. The only limitations are what BBC Worldwide are giving them. And from what they've done is they've delivered amazingly. Like I say, Graham Strong's audio recordings, we owe this guy a massive, massive debt.
Yes, we did.
With the extra audio recordings that have just come to light recently, it opens up the field immensely for a lot of other stuff that we thought we could never potentially ever have as well. And like I say, as the technology goes on, the people who do it have a massive passion for what they do. So, I just want this to continue. And, it's long overdue, but by far this is the best animation that we've had. And it is just, I think it's only going to get better as time goes on. So, yeah.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 for me.
Always forward.
Yeah, it's just, the fact that they went through all this trouble. They did so well on the animation. They've made the Macra into something that's just genuinely creepy. Even drawn, they're creepy as hell.
Yeah.
So, plus the fact that they took the time, to do this when they could have just said, why bother? We don't need it. So I'm sure they left a few things out here and there, but just the fact that this is out there and so well done is just enough for me to give it full marks. Oh, well, folks, until next time, please, everybody take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll be seeing you on the flip side. Good night.
Buy the DVD if you want more.
Yeah.
And animate Abominable Snowman for me, please. Thank you.
Right. Good night.